Welcome to Between Lovers, the Heart and Soul Chronicles. I'm T, your sacred guide, and today I've got a special episode for you. I'm introducing a brand new segment called Sacred Conversations with Lamar and Sincere. What better day to begin than Juneteenth, a day marked by liberation, legacy, and the kind of truth-telling that stirs your bones. This episode is story time, not a lecture, but a soulful unfolding. Two friends, one conversation, and the kind of questions that echo long after the words end. A soul telling, a love letter, and just enough mystery to keep your heart open. So, settle in. This is Sacred Conversations with Lamar and Sincere. The return we were never given. A Juneteenth reflection for the soul. Sincere asked, "So what are we going to do for the holiday? What do you have going on? Any big plans to honor yourself and the ancestors?" Lamar replied, I might hit a cookout. You know how we do. Good food, good music, maybe a little family time. But also, I don't know. Every year it feels like I should be doing something more. I can feel it. I don't have the words yet, but I feel something." Sincere nodded and said, "That part. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love the celebration. But sometimes I wonder, what are we actually celebrating?" Lamar replied, "You mean Juneteenth?" She said, "Yeah. Like, we were told about freedom, right? But I heard something the other day. They said you were told you were free, but you were not returned." Lamar leaned in. "Returned? Returned to what?" Sincere explained. "To our land, to our names, our spiritual memory. But this isn't about reclaiming land with documents. Not yet. This is about remembering what no paper ever gave us. The right to be, to feel, to know your worth from within." "So we didn't get restored, we got renamed," Lamar said. "Exactly," Sincere replied. "They gave us a title without truth, a status without soul. But here's the wild part. The scroll remembers." "Wait, what? What scroll? What's a scroll? What are you talking about?" Lamar asked. Sincere answered, "It's like that ache in your throat that wants to speak or cry but can't. It's the dream you keep having that doesn't make sense. You know, the weight you carry in rooms where nobody sees the work you've done. It's the memory you didn't choose but still lives in your bones. The part that you never forget." Lamar said, "Like when you start believing you got imposter syndrome, not because you're not qualified, but because a world built on your erasure keeps handing out permission slips and forgetting they've learned it all from you." Sincere nodded. "That's the scroll. It's your internal compass before they handed you forms, before they boxed your beauty into boxes and ballots. It's the sovereignty of the soul, and no one can file it away." "So how do we get back to that?" Lamar asked. "If it's not paperwork, is it presence?" Sincere smiled. "Exactly. You reclaim your inner sovereignty by remembering. You don't need permission to love yourself, to trust that whisper inside of you, to feel more than the world told you were allowed to feel." "I got it." Lamar nodded slowly. And white folks, were they affected too?" Sincere answered, They were. They were reclassified as white, losing their original kinship, their original nation identity, in exchange for conditional proximity to power. They were stripped of their ancestry and coded into a system not because they were superior, but because they were useful to the structure that needed a buffer. You need a buffer, you need a common enemy. And that's how you get the power structure. That's how you get the system. Chaos. Lamar raised an eyebrow. "So they lost something too." "Oh, big time," Sincere says. "They were made into a category, not a people. And here's the thing most don't realize. If we carry epigenetic trauma as the effect, they carry it as the cause. And cause without consciousness becomes compulsion." "Damn," Lamar whispered. Sincere continued. "They're walking around with a pain they don't have words for. A kind of soul exile. Because if you erase someone's roots, you also erase their grounding. And we know this. They were brainwashed out of their origin and into ours, taught to fear what they've come from, and taught to dominate what they didn't understand. And here's how you keep control. You breed chaos between the broken." Lamar said quietly, "So they don't even know what they lost." "No clue," Sincere nodded. "And when you're a lost people who don't know you're lost, you become a danger to yourself and to others. The whole world believes us to be the lost children, but most people are lost. because that darkness festers, and instead of looking within, they project it outward. That's why so many turn a blind eye to our pain, not realizing that their healing was tied up in our restoration. Lamar reflected. That's why we can't separate it. Humanity is responsible for one another, not the skin, the human. Exactly, Sincere added. There can't be peace while destruction is rewarded. Healing requires honesty. Restoration requires compassion. And unity, real unity, that's the one thing the power structure fears the most. Because if we all wake up, the game ends. Lamar nodded again, deeper this time. People need to stop being loud in convenience and silent in consequence. It's time we stop performing power and actually cultivate peace. Sincere closed her eyes for a moment and said, that's true abundance. Not stuff, not noise, but peace of mind, internal love, a community that doesn't eat itself to feel fed. Okay, so, damn, what do we do? Lamar asked softly. Start by making space, Sincere replied. More time and intentional silence. Not just quiet mouths, but sound minds, still hearts, clear spirits. Let the scroll rise in you. It knows what to do when the world forgets. Lamar sat in silence for a long moment, then said quietly, it's wild how deep it goes. When you make an impact, what you impact becomes a mirror, Sincere replied. And eventually, who you are is reflected back to you. So wait, like we become the mirror? Lamar asked. Sincere nodded. We've been so impacted by the system, we started reflecting how they see themselves. Two sides of the same coin. Every restraint they placed on us is how they would feel inside. Lamar replied slowly, you wouldn't do to others what you don't feel inside yourself. Exactly, Sincere said. Destruction inside breeds destruction outside. People don't even realize they become destructive reflections of what they can't admit they feel. How we consume media, who we hang around, what we accept, is all indicative of who we believe ourselves to be. Lamar took a deep breath. So even in all of this, we still choose love? That's the miracle, Sincere answered. Even with the adversity from slavery to redlining, from reclassification to oversentencing, from food deserts to poor schools, from high maternal death rates to the drugs placed in our neighborhoods, they put pressure on top of pressure and we still prevail. But here's what folks miss. It didn't end, it just shapeshifted. The trauma didn't stop at the plantation gates. It evolved into mass incarceration, into economic sabotage, into media that mocks our pain but profits from our culture, making us comfortable with images that are not reflective of who we are. It became the stolen innocence of our children in underfunded classrooms. The way the world imitates our rhythm but erases our names. It's in the way our women are global muses, yet rarely protected. In the way our men are feared, funneled, and forgotten. It's in the tension between us, the wedge that was driven between black men and women to disrupt the sacred bond that once built nations. These aren't side effects. They are symptoms of a system still at work. And the most dangerous lie, telling us it no longer exists because we survived it. Survival doesn't mean we weren't wounded, and wounds left untreated become infection. But still, we prevail. Still love, still rise, Lamar whispered. Sincere nodded again, slower this time. Still laugh, still create, still forgive, with grace. But why does this still happen if we don't deserve it, Lamar asked. Like, if we don't matter to them, why do they keep doing it? Because we do matter, Sincere said gently, and that's the very thing they've tried to suppress. But this day, this Juneteenth, it's not about what was taken or what it was given. It's about what we restore. Lamar leaned forward. So what should we do today? Get outside, Sincere said with deep clarity. Even if it rains, let it wash over you before you go back inside. Let your feet touch the ground. Hug a tree. Look at the sky and speak truth into your breath. Stop giving your power away. Stop being afraid of who you know you are, especially when it doesn't feel good. Listen to your soul. Really listen. Take deep breaths. Let the tears come if they need to. And please don't be afraid to remember who you are, because your remembrance is your return. Spoken word, the inheritance of silence. They told us to hush, to bow our heads when history stood loud in front of us. But silence was not submission. It was strategy, a sanctuary, a simmering. We inherited silence not as surrender but as scripture, a coded memory, a blueprint to be read between the breaths. Because silence, when sacred, is the sound right before God speaks. And we were always listening. We didn't forget. We remembered in whispers, in lullabies and locked diaries, in head nods and side eyes. We remembered in the rhythm of resilience, in the crackle of kitchen grease, in the back porch prayers that no textbook could ever hold. We inherited silence, but we turned it into a song, into sermons, into soul, and now we speak, not for permission, but for return. 10 soul reflection prompts. Grab your pen, your journal, or your notepad app. Number 1. What part of your identity was inherited without question? And who benefits from you never questioning it? Number 2. Have you ever silenced yourself for safety? What did that silence cost you, and what did it teach you? Number 3. Which emotional patterns in your family have gone unspoken but still shape your choices? Number 4. What were you taught about freedom? Now ask yourself, were the people who taught you actually free? Were they happy? Did they know peace? Number 5. Have you inherited trauma responses that feel like your personality? What might your spirit feel like without them? Number 6. What does it feel like to know that self-love is not rebellion, but remembrance? 7. If being black or white was a reclassification, not a root, then what are you really? Number 8. Where do you feel God's voice? Not in scripture, but in your cells. And when did you stop trusting it? What would change if you stopped asking for permission to be whole? What is rising in you now that can no longer be silenced? And what will you do to let it live? Spoken word. Freedom. They called it freedom, but it came wrapped in silence. Not peace, but pressure. Not rest, but residue. Many black elders were silenced for survival. Many white elders stayed silent out of guilt or complicity. Many immigrants were told to assimilate and forget. They said, speak well, behave, blend in, don't ask. But the silence didn't protect us. It paralyzed us. It passed down a pain with no language. Now we wonder why our throat aches when we say our own names. Why joy feels heavy. Why schools feel like shame. Why our children are afraid and don't know why. But this generation, we remember. We speak. We cry. We name the wound. And now we call the peace forward. Water affirmation. Place your hand over your heart. Speak to the water within you. I honor the rivers in my blood. I restore what was taken. I cleanse what was projected. I remember who I am. I walk forward with grace, with truth, and with peace. And you could repeat that when you wash your hands, when you take a shower. Continuously say, I remember who I am. I remember who I am. A love letter. Dear beloved, you weren't born a minority. You were reclassified as one. That label wasn't your origin. It was your assignment. And if you don't know your nation, the system will assign you a color, and with it, a status. Citizenship wasn't denied because of your skin. It was denied to sever your lineage and dissolve your sovereignty. Black is not a race. It's a classification, a code written to make you stateless, to make your body legal property and your memory illegal truth. They needed to rename you in order to erase what they feared, that you were never less than. They needed to rename you in order to erase what they feared, that you were never less than. You were a nation. You were a people. You were free before they needed to define you in terms they could not control. This isn't about shade. It's about status. And reclaiming your name is the first step in reclaiming your power. And today, reclaim yourself. You may not know your nation, but you do know your soul. Speak up for it, and you will find others doing the same, or quietly waiting for someone to light the way. We learn together. We rebuild together. We don't need all the answers to begin the work. The beginning is sacred enough, and the soul, it never forgets. Thank you for sitting with me in this moment of reflection and remembrance. You know, everyone who hears this episode, you're a part of a soul family that's choosing remembrance over routine. This is what sovereignty of the spirit looks like. It's not about rejecting support or burning bridges. It's about reclaiming your name in the mirror, reclaiming your soul. You've just listened to a sacred conversation. But more than that, you've listened to your own remembering. Maybe something stirred. Maybe a silence broke. Maybe you're finally naming the ache you've carried along for way too long. This is your invitation to go deeper, to restore what was never lost, just buried, and to stop waiting for permission to feel sovereign in your own soul. Enjoy the festivities. Celebrate your people. Hold your family close, but also teach your people. Teaching the people is true bonding, because healing travels further when it moves through love. And when you wash your hands today, or take a shower to start your day, try the water affirmation. With every drop, I remember. With every breath, I return. I am more than what was done to me. I am the living scroll. I am the return. And if you want to go even deeper, watch the documentary Out of the Darkness, or pick up the book They Came Before Columbus, or the ISIS Papers. Or just look at your own birth certificate. Read the codes. Ask about your original name. Research the Dred Scott decision, the Virginia slave codes. I can also create an ebook so that you guys will have resources to look through that. But just let me know if that's something you're interested in. To explore your own sovereignty, your soul memory, or your divine design, book a soul session with me. Go to betweenlovers.com, BTWNLVRS.com. We're doing sacred work over here, and you're invited. Until next time, walk gently, walk boldly, and walk soulfully. Please never forget, your remembrance is your return. I love you for loving you. Welcome to the Soul Family. I'm T, and this is Between Lovers, the Heart and Soul Chronicles. Happy Juneteenth, family.